You're listening to the Health and Happiness Podcast with Travis Kemper and
Lauren Maxwell. Each episode, we share easy to implement strategies to improve your health, happiness, and overall quality of life. Let's begin by taking a smallish nap or two. Winnie the Pooh. How's it going, Travis? What's been new with you this last week?
It's going well. Just busy, as always. Football team won again. They're number one in the state, officially going into the playoffs.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so playoffs start this week and we'll go for the next 3 weeks, hopefully for us, but they will go the next 3 weeks. So we play at home this week against the lowest ranked team to make the playoffs. And then next week, we'll see who we play. If we win, we have to win first.
That's true.
Also, we're now buying 2 houses instead of 1.
2 houses?
Yeah, there was some, we were in a gray area tax-wise, and we just got really lucky, and another house came up that was exactly what we wanted and completely refinished.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so we got really lucky.
That's exciting. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's also 2 blocks away from the house that we're buying to live in. So that's a nice close commute.
No kidding. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yes, so we're very excited. How is your life going?
It's going pretty good. I don't ever have like as exciting of news as you do. But my husband just got a new job, so that's exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good job, Nolan.
Yeah. After 12 years working at Starbucks, he's finally moved on. He had his last day of Starbucks on Saturday and started his new job today. So very exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
In Flag then, I assume.
In Flagstaff. So we're staying, at least for a year. It's like a year-long temp job before they hire on permanently. So
interesting.
at least that's how he tells me it works. I don't know anything about anything, but he has a new job and I'm excited.
That's very exciting. Congratulations, Nolan.
So that's kind of been new in my life. And other than that, we had our first research meeting for Keely, because Keely is participating in a study for dogs learning to talk with buttons. So that was fun.
That's super cool. How is your meditation challenge going?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. I have been doing it, and it has been hard. Like really a lot more challenging than I expected it to be. It's hard.
Well, it will get easier. Everything's hard when you first start it. Like unless you're like naturally gifted at something, just about everything's hard.
That's true.
It will get easier. I'm glad you're sticking with it. Have you noticed any benefits yet?
Actually, I have. So that's been, I think, the major thing that's kept me going. Because it's been to the point where I'm like, oh, this is so frustrating and I don't even want to do it. Except that I've been having like a lot of anxiety lately. Just like, I don't know, just feels like it's out of nowhere. But I will get like really racing heart rate and stuff like that. And so I've been really using the meditation kind of around those times where I feel really anxious. And doing a lot of like breath work and stuff like that. And it has made a big difference for me this last week. Like I feel a little more empowered over like my anxiety to calm down my own breath and like not let it get to a level that's out of control. So that's been really cool.
That's awesome. I'm glad it's working for you, because anxiety doesn't sound fun.
It's not super fun. But it's cool to have. Like, I wish I had started doing this earlier. I'll just say that, because it has made a big difference in the last, it's only been a week, but it has made a noticeable difference for me.
That's awesome. Good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping you're going to keep it up. I'm sorry if you're watching on the screen and I look distracted. It's because 3 deer have just run past my office window.
Whoa!
They just keep coming. So there's a 4th one.
That's so cool.
There's number 5.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Man, I wish we could see out your window right now.
I am going to miss my office here with my deer.
Yeah. Seems like you have a
There's
really
number
nice
6,
view out that window.
7, 8. There's at least 8 deer coming,
Oh
so
my
you might
gosh.
anyway,
I
we
don't
can
blame
move
you.
on.
So what do you want to talk about today for this episode? What do you think?
Well, now I wanna talk about wildlife,
Oh
but
shoot, you didn't prepare for that. Hurry, let's go do some research.
uh, naps and breaks.
Naps
That's
and
what I wanna
breaks.
talk about today. Yes. So there's a lot of building evidence on naps and breaks and how important they are. Kinda like we talked about with the meditation thing. It's like we're really getting back to, in health research, very simple things.
Hmm.
Um, nap doesn't get much more simple than naps and breaks.
Yeah, that's true. I like this topic.
So
Think,
MIT did a study, um, where they wanted to see what the effect of naps on productivity was in the workplace. And they found that short afternoon naps demonstrated significant increases in productivity, psychological well being, and cognition, but decreased overall work time. So you improved your overall productivity during the day and worked less. That's a win-win.
that's a win-win. I was just gonna say that. That's right
Yeah,
up my alley.
and they were doing 30-minute naps, and they studied either a morning group or an afternoon group, but the afternoon group was shown to be better than the morning group, which makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Simply because I get fatigued in the afternoon generally
that's
after
kind of when
lunch.
like the lull in the workday is. Yeah. And
Yeah.
they also noted in that study that they thought it also might be related to people are just more inclined to be productive in the morning if they get the reward of a nap in the afternoon, which I like wouldn't have thought of right away, but that makes total sense to me too.
That makes sense. I'm definitely more of a morning person in general.
Hmm. I feel like I'm becoming more of a morning person. I don't think until this year I could have called myself a morning person, but ever since I switched to a morning workout, oh my gosh, I can't even believe I'm saying it, but I think I'm a morning person now. Like I've spent 30 years in this body as a night person. This is bizarre. Off topic, but bizarre.
I've always been a morning person. I melt at night.
Yeah, you
Like
do.
I just
Yeah, you do. You're like on
I'm
a
dead.
timer, and then like once the timer goes off, you're asleep.
Yes, very regimented life as far as sleep wake cycle.
Yeah.
Um
One of the other interesting things about the study, because they did do a section where like they were doing kind of like sleep training at night as well to try to improve like nighttime sleep. And so they had compared like the sleep quality from the naps to the sleep quality from the nighttime sleep after training, and they actually showed that the participants who were doing the naps had better sleep quality compared to like the nighttime training. Um, which I thought was really
Interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, because I would have thought a nap might make you stay up at night.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Something I thought was I didn't expect it when I read it. I thought, oh, well, the sleep training, because I've kind of done like sleep training on myself and it's significantly improved my life. Um, but I didn't realize that you would get better sleep quality with a nap than you would with sleep training at night. I think I'm using the wrong
Yeah.
phrase with sleep training, but that's what I'm calling it.
Okay. Yeah, maybe look a little more into that one. But
Yeah.
yeah, naps boosted productivity. That's the important part.
Yeah.
Um, Another study we found studied fifth grade students and gave them naps in the morning, and naps lasting 30 to 60 minutes seemed to boost memory retention of curricular contents by approximately 10%.
Yeah. Which, so this one was interesting too, because it was like I mean, in comparison to the other one where they found afternoon naps were better for the workers, this one kind of found that morning naps made more sense, at least for this age group, because they were already tired, like from their lack of sleep at night. And so if they gave them a nap early enough in the morning, they didn't have a hard time kind of falling back into that sleep, so that they were able to get into a nap quicker and then get into that like slow wave REM sleep and then come back out of it. So they had a really good like quality nap.
Makes sense. And yeah, we know that memory retention and like solidifying memories during sleep, or is mostly done during sleep, I guess you should say. So that makes sense for um, remembering what you learn. I've seen studies about sleep after college classes and taking naps and
Hmm.
it improving your grades and things like that.
Yeah. Did you ever do that? Did you ever take naps?
I'm not a napper.
Yeah.
Sun's up, I'm up.
Yeah. I'm actually not very much of a napper either. So this is kind of funny to read because I feel like I don't know, you and I are both really highly energetic people during the day, like very awake when we're awake. And so napping doesn't really come naturally to me. Like it's not like a, oh, I should take a nap. I'm tired.
Which is why we're going to talk about breaks as well.
Yes.
But um, if you are a napper or want to try napping, how long should your nap be?
So we found another article that was talking about different lengths of naps. And they found that a nap of less than 30 minutes or like 30 minutes or less during the day promotes wakefulness and enhances performance and learning ability. But in contrast, like napping longer than that actually was a little bit more detrimental for things. So I guess based on this article, a nap of like 30 minutes or less would be for an adult, I think, is what we're focusing on in this article as compared to that fifth grade study where they were talking about 30 to 60 minutes. For like adults, it's 30 minutes or less tends to lead to more like productivity, wakefulness, learning ability, performance, stuff like that.
And that's what I've seen in the research in general,
Hmm.
the recommendations from other people. And I still don't take naps, and I don't think I'm going to start because I can't. I
Yeah.
that's not entirely true. I can tell you one time that I can take a nap.
When's that?
When I used to when my parents had a house and I would go back in and stay at their house or something on a Sunday, my dad would watch NASCAR. And if NASCAR is on the TV, I would fall asleep instantly. It was the
That's
only time.
funny.
It was the only time it worked. So
Oh,
yeah, that's the
wow.
only time I ever took naps.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's so
Oh,
funny. Like out like a light when you watch NASCAR. All right.
just got to put NASCAR on TV. I'm done.
Well,
It's like
you now have a
hypnotized.
strategy, I guess, if you need to take a nap.
Yeah, but I'm too cheap to pay for cable TV,
Oh,
so
that's true. Yeah, not worth it.
yeah.
The only
Nah.
time I really ever take naps is like when I'm not feeling well. And that's just because like my overall energy is way lower than it normally is. Or if I have a migraine, I'll try to take a 30-minute nap. Like I set a timer and like try to take a 30-minute nap and hope the migraine's gone when I wake up.
That sounds like a worthwhile
Yeah, it works a lot of
endeavor.
the time. If I can like plan or like, I mean, because sometimes you can't nap, right? Like you're at work and you're like, I have a migraine and there's nothing I can do about it. But sometimes you're like at home or like you are able to like pull over on the road and take a nap. And it works like a charm. If I can sleep off a migraine for 30 minutes, I will do it. Absolutely.
Sounds worth it.
Yeah.
Um, so neither one of us are nappers, but there's a lot of research on the benefits of breaks as well.
Yeah.
Um, and I do try and take breaks, and I sometimes struggle because my life is hectic and busy, as most people's are.
Hmm.
But I definitely notice that I get fatigued mentally if I try to just go patient to patient to patient or task to task to task, um, versus if I take a break.
Yeah.
So things that I have done in the past when I work in an office, I will go for a walk or a workout at lunch every day. I never work for through lunch because, well, one, I wasn't getting paid for it in my travel jobs, and
Mhm.
two, yeah, I don't work off the clock, and two, because I just found that I couldn't focus in the afternoons if I didn't do something.
Yeah,
Um,
to like recharge.
yeah, and that's supported in the research. So breaks have been shown, especially movement breaks, to improve your physical and emotional health. And even things just as simple as, like I said, I'd go for a walk, especially I'd go outside for a walk,
Mhm.
um, and try and just, I'd listen to a podcast or a book and do that. Especially if you're sitting in an office or something, sitting all day is not great.
Yeah.
Um, they prevent decision fatigue. I don't know. Have you ever studied decision fatigue at all?
I know what it is. I haven't like necessarily done a whole lot of research on it, but like for anybody who doesn't know, decision fatigue is like, I mean, you're confronted throughout your whole day with a million decisions to make. Like even if that's like what to eat for breakfast, what to wear
Yeah.
for work, you know, like you're just making decisions constantly. And so decision fatigue is like, in my experience, I guess, like becoming very like paralyzed at the thought of making another decision, so that even arbitrary things like what do I wear for work today become very hard to make, which sounds silly, but like it's real.
Right, which is why they recommend you, like, pack your lunch the night before and pack your
Yeah,
food and clothes the night before.
yeah,
Like, for me, I go to the gym, I throw my clothes in the bag on good days, um, so that I can just not have to think and
right.
just,
One
yeah,
less decision to
get
make
through it.
that day.
Right.
Yeah, which is very helpful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But breaks can prevent decision fatigue in the afternoon. They restore motivation, especially for long term goals, which I found interesting. We've talked about goals a lot here.
Hmm.
The long term goals are really the bigger ones that you're making that are going to make bigger impact on your future. Um, and taking breaks can restore your motivation for them. So maybe if you take a break, you'll still go for that jog in the afternoon. If you don't take a break, you're going to get home and you're going to be like, nope, ice cream it is.
Yeah, yeah.
They also can increase productivity and creativity in the workplace. Yeah.
I can definitely like vouch for that.
And
I
again, they help memory and improve learning.
I think that's the biggest thing that I've noticed is I like to be creative. I consider myself a very creative person, but if I'm like moving throughout my day and not taking a break, and my job takes a considerable amount of creativity, I would argue, because working with kids, like you have to be on your toes all the time. You could set up a whole plan of what you want to work on, and then a kid says no, and then you have to figure out on the spot how you're going to get them to do these exercises that you want to do. So, fair amount of creativity in my job. And if I don't take breaks throughout the day, I have a lot harder of a time like adapting to those kids who are like, no, or like my babies who just start crying and I like can't get them to sit up or something like that. But if I do take a break and kind of like recharge my brain, I am so much quicker at just being like, oh, okay, we won't do that then. Like, let's put on Moana song and we're gonna dance, and then while we're dancing, we're gonna do marches, and you're gonna work on single leg balance. Like, amazing.
Yeah, having done an internship for 10 weeks in pediatric physical therapy, I can assure you that your job takes plenty of creativity. It's not just you thinking it does.
Yeah, it's really fun, but it can be a challenge if you're like not in a creative mindset for sure. But that's why like I am like fully like let's take our breaks, because if I am not taking my breaks, I don't do my job as well in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So what are good breaks for listeners to try?
So this article talked about how good breaks, and this is going to get like real big wordy sciencey, but good breaks don't rely heavily on the prefrontal cortex function. So it doesn't take like a ton of brain power, basically. Like you're looking for a break that's like a cognitive break, um, to let you kind of renew your focus for the rest of the day. So things like Travis said, like going to take a walk or going to exercise, getting out in nature, changing up your environment, eating lunch or a healthy snack, taking a power nap is a good example of a break. um, Taking some deep breaths, meditation could be a good thing to do on a break, daydreaming, or just getting creative, like letting that other side of your brain kind of function and flow. If you're like wanting to doodle or draw or write or whatever that kind of creative outlet is for you, take a few minutes to do that and let your brain kind of like come down from all of this like very high level cognitive functioning that you're doing.
Yeah, my favorites are definitely exercise and walk in nature.
Hmm.
So almost every day, we've talked about this before. Almost every
Yeah.
day, we go out on a hike, or I go out on a hike with Duke. Today we did a 3.5 mile run walk hike.
Run, walk, hike. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. I feel like I've utilized a lot of these. Like I go on walks. I've not really taken naps, taken a few deep breaths. I've started to meditate thanks to this podcast and our challenge. I definitely daydream. That's like one of like I like to tell myself stories in my brain for a break sometimes, and then sometimes I'll take that into like a creative writing session. Because as long as you're like feeling inspired, you can just do something for a few minutes and have a whole nice refresh for your brain. Come back like rejuvenated. Makes a difference.
yeah. So as a challenge this week at your job or other, whatever you're doing, if you get that, especially that afternoon lull, that's when I don't know if I'm abnormal, but I feel like that's when it
No,
hits
you're
most
not.
people.
I think it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, that like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock for me is like, oof. That's
yeah.
like
Try and take a break.
sorry, yeah, that's like when you want your second cup of coffee. That's like for me, that's what I've noticed is when I'm starting to be like, oh, I need coffee. I don't have afternoon coffee anymore. It doesn't help me very much. So I've started replacing it with other things like that.
Nice. And maybe it's just when you find yourself looking at your phone and getting on social
Mm,
media
good point.
and just like, you know,
Need to
those
check
times.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, where you're just trying to check out instead of staying there and looking at social media, just get up and go for a walk
Mm,
or bounce in place, close your eyes, take some deep breaths, whatever.
yeah.
So maybe that's when you should do it. But that'll be the challenge this week is when you're noticing that you're in a lull and you're not being productive, stop trying to be productive and go take a
Yeah.
break.
Listen to your body and your mind and do something for it instead of working against it.
Yes. Yes. Awesome. Well, this was fun. Lauren, you
This
got
was fun.
anything else to add?
I don't think so. I think I'm all good.
Great. Well, thanks everybody. And we will see you for the next episode.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to listen to this episode of the Health and Happiness Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode and are getting benefits from our content.
If your life is improving in part due to the information in this podcast, we would greatly appreciate you sharing the episode with your family and friends on social media and leaving us a review so we can continue to reach more people and improve the health and happiness of the community at large.
Thanks again, and we will see you next week for another episode of the Health and Happiness Podcast.